So welcome, everybody, one more time to Mind Shifters Radio. Delighted that you're here as we move in the direction of deeper and deeper understanding of these principles of first-century Aramaic forgiveness and the corollary tools involved. And Ms. Jeanie, we had a conversation going yesterday with Craig, and I understood he was going to call back in. Is he with us?
I am looking through the numbers, Craig. If you're on there, press 1. And 10. Okay,
yeah, 8,
he
10,
is.
7, 7, 7.
Yep.
Cool.
Welcome back, Craig.
Hey, good morning. Good afternoon.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing great.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, how was yesterday's conversation and the weekend unfolding for you?
So I think I told you yesterday I had somewhat of like a panic attack on Sunday, and the same thing Monday. Felt awesome yesterday, and then it hit me again this morning, like to a point where I was headed out the door to go to work, and I turned around and went back and soothed myself. I don't know what to say. And then finally ended up sleeping and slept like just crazy. Like if I wake up, I normally can't go back to bed, at least not in any short order. It takes me another half hour to calm my brain to stop.
Right.
So this morning, starting at like 7:30, I set my alarm for 8:30, and I just literally closed my eyes and the alarm went off. And I'm like, what the heck? And I did it again. I set it for 9 o'clock and closed my eyes, and boom, the alarm went off. I did that up till 11 o'clock. And then I finally did like a little test of myself. I'd be like, okay, set the clock for 11:15, because that's never happened in my life. And boom,
right.
I fell asleep 15 more minutes. So my body's telling me something.
Well, what I'm hearing you say, remember we talked about the idea from the ancient scriptures that the veil of the temple must be rent in twain. And most of us spend most of our lives cinching down that barrier as tight as it will go so nothing gets through it. In sleep, in dreams, it kind of becomes a sort of a fenestrated barrier. There are little openings so things pop up and present themselves as dreams and such. But you went this weekend, you went into a full-blown, I'm opening the veil and I'm going to let stuff rip, and you did. And what that means, remember we talked about when we did the worksheet process, the forgiveness process, in step 2, I'm willing to go through the physical, mental, and emotional symptoms of healing. So on a physical level, healing looks like low energy. I've opened this thing, and my structure wants to literally remove and restructure, and that takes a lot of energy. And so probably one of the biggest pieces that's missing in healing in our world today is everybody's so busy that they don't take time to let themselves do that. And your mind is saying, your body's saying, I need to lay down and process, breathe, let's do it. And I acknowledge you for doing that rather than running off and, chasing the goals of the day. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah. And I'm not, sort of not trying to, I was trying to figure out on Sunday. I thought I was having a heart attack. And then I thought, okay, is this just psychosomatic? And I think that was the answer. And then when I felt okay yesterday, I'm like, okay, we're healed. I'm done. I'm joking. But I was surprised my body talked to me like that this morning again.
Right.
So
yeah. In and out through those layers.
Yeah. It's weird.
And, we had talks. Say again?
I said, I'm sorry. It's like my upper chest. It's like, and then it's really like my forearms on both hands just start feeling like I got 50-pound weights on them. It's something I've never experienced before, So it's a little scary, It's kind of like, is it for sure happening, or is it? Do I need to go to the ER? We'll just let this sit here for a minute. So,
well, if you feel like there's something physical you need to have looked at, certainly it makes sense to go have it looked at. And if you find yourself breathing through it and letting whatever's moving move, the sensations that you're getting, are any of them matching what you had during your still point session on Saturday?
Yeah. And I didn't really think about that until you just mentioned that.
Yeah. So remember, the symptoms of healing are identical to the symptoms of disease. The only difference is which direction is the energy moving. In a disease process, we bring an energy in, the breath is held, and the energy expresses as symptoms in our physiology or our emotions, our minds. And then we learn how to shut it down. Give me a cup of coffee, let me have a cigarette, give me a fifth of scotch, whatever. Let me keep busy so that I don't have to feel or deal with this. And then when you take the time to say, okay, so I'm going to start looking at this, and you kind of let the lid off, the system's like, okay, I'm letting off steam, let her go. And it sounds to me like that's what's happening. You're just opening some layers, and I would suggest you go ahead and breathe and let yourself move through it. Again, if you have concern for physical health, nothing like, it might be a good time to get checked out by your doctor, just to say, hey, I want to make sure I'm in A-OK shape and moving forward, and let the process rip. Big thing is, something that will always bring healing is the breath.
Well, and I talked to Michelle about that. Was just like, can you do it 24 hours a day while you're driving, while you're at work? I'm not talking about laying down and going into the state I was Saturday, but I mean just in general, that breathing. So I kind of adopted that. I'm not sure if I don't think it's going to hurt me.
No, breathing will always be helpful. And you don't need to push it over the limit, Keep it at a level where you're integrating whatever it is. Part of what's happening is the destructuring of reality structures and oftentimes trauma. And so as that's happening, it takes a lot of energy to break that kind of stuff down and process it out. Yeah. And so just be gentle with yourself and move through it.
And that's kind of what I surmise. I don't think I'm having a heart attack every morning.
No, I don't think so.
That doesn't sound probable. So, yeah, but it is just as painful as it was on Saturday.
On Saturday, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and Saturday was just as painful as it was as you were taking some of those energies in as a kid, right?
Yeah.
The difference is that you're unloading it from your body rather than carrying it around in your body.
Yeah. And that part that brings me, to be honest with you, when I'm sitting there like, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know, you could tell me, but I was sweating this morning like I just jumped into a pool. I mean, I don't remember doing that on Saturday, but maybe I was.
Yeah, you were sweating quite a bit Saturday.
Okay, well, that's how it was today.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so suffice to say, I wish I could wave a magic wand and follow the same process.
Oh, don't we all?
Yeah.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
John and I, we talked about some in the workshops, so some of the conversation we had, and this morning we were processing once again. I'm staying at his house now. And we were processing once again, and the processing just got so intricate and involved that we decided he actually called a videographer. And when the radio show's over, I'm going out. I'm at the office now, and we're going to go out into the event center and record a conversation about just where the whole understanding is going for him, for me. How he's traveled one path as a chiropractor, naturopath, and neurologist, and I've traveled a different path as a naturopath, and so it's kind of like we're spending a whole lot of time comparing notes, and he has an insight, takes me to another level, and I have an insight and an offering, takes him to another level, and so it's been a pretty interesting process.
Not to lose sight, Michelle's over today, so we're literally sitting across the table from each other. We were going over the show yesterday, you know, and we're stopping and talking and stopping and talking. And the one thing that doesn't come across very clear from me is I know this ain't going to happen overnight. I know
Right.
This is a lifetime of taking me 65 years to get here. I'll see how far I can dig out of it before I'm not here, kind of thing. So I don't mean to sound aloof or that I made a joke a minute ago, hey, I'm cured. I'm not sure that's ever a thing. I think it's just continual growth.
It's
I
a
don't see
process.
myself ever stop. I don't think I see myself ever stopping what got started in the last few weeks.
But, you know,
So
one of the things that...
No, the only thing I wanted to clarify was, so I was listening, and I was trying to make a point when I was talking about regret, and my point was I taught hockey here for 15 years, and that's
Right.
thousands of people, and all I meant was, by that comment was, if I had done something different, 20 years ago, there's thousands of people, and at the time I was very involved in the church, and a lot of people were, so it was a very... It was a time of me. It was a big time of joy in meeting a lot of people that still bring me joy, and I still bring them joy with each other. And all I meant was that was kind of my background too. It's kind of like It's a Wonderful Life, right? With Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of frame it.
I hear you.
Yeah, but I feel differently after yesterday. I have a little bit different perspective on it.
It's pretty
So
amazing, to me, one of the things that really, over and over and over again, the last couple of years for me personally, has been just how magnificent it is to have a human life, to have this opportunity to do what we're doing. It's just, to me, it's just like amazing.
Right. Me too. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty sweet. Pretty
So Michelle
nice
was
gift.
running, she had some appointments, running late, came into the house, flying around, and she said, hey, did you call in to the show earlier? Because I told her to listen to the intro. And I did with Dr. Tim. And then she says to me, hey, how many worksheets did you do last night? I'm like, oh, God. I call Michelle, honestly, that's my next week's schedule, is to find them so I can print them out. She goes, right on the website. Okay. So I got homework to do. Not from her. I mean, it's good she's here. I think German, the word for that, Schlappendreiber, which means slave driver.
There you go.
So
Helga with the whip.
Helga.
Right?
I got so many nicknames for her. So I don't know if I'll try to.
Did I hear Helga? Did I hear Helga protesting in the background?
Yes. Say hello, Helga.
Remember to remind her to turn that little thing back around on herself once in a while too.
Yeah, we teach what we need to learn. I get you. I feel ya.
Sweet, awesome.
Wait,
I'm glad you're both rocking it.
I'm gonna hand her the phone. She's a little feisty this morning, so here.
Okay, so this is how my healing crisis looks, because I did some work there this weekend, despite the calm exterior. Anyways, and I even texted Rex about this, because going back 11 years, every time I came to Heartland, and it's maybe 2 or 3 times a summer, and then going to Florida and going to Oak Island and going here and going to Virginia, going to the different places, right? Almost, I'm going to say 90%. Every time I would go away for a healing weekend, when I would come back, there would be dead animals. There would be chickens that bit it, from a raccoon or a possum or a hawk or whatever. It didn't matter if the kids were watching or if my husband was watching or had friends come over. Somewhere always there would be some kind of mishap, some mistake, some invariable, lost chickens. And it got to be comical because every time it happened. So then you haven't had anything, off-site for a while, at least 5 years. Because last time this happened was in 2017 when you were at my house.
Right.
I come back on Monday morning, and I had left with a dozen little chicks, 1 month old, and there are only 4 left. Because whatever, we don't know, the big trampled them, it doesn't make sense. But there was a bloodletting, and my betta fish too. You know, I've had this fish for a couple years. It's going to eventually die. It died the weekend I was doing my work. So it's just an unusual pattern that is more than coincidence.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
Well, maybe as you step into the next level of process, they're stepping up the plate and say, here, we'll handle some of that energy with you. We'll support you.
That's how it always felt. Like, so I didn't have to physically take all the burden, that there were other, like, helpers, like, sort of absorbing some of the shock for me. And because Rex said something about, he goes, well, it was about, wait, actually, I'll see what he said, because it was kind of interesting take, right? Because he knows all the work and how that goes. He goes, Rex said, I do recall you commenting about the idea of the baby, the chickens dying. He goes, be open to the idea that those baby chicks represents to you a slaughter. More obvious piece appears to be death and destruction of nature. Not always easy to trust, but always 100% reliable and consistent. And then he wants to know on a practical level, were they eaten or just killed or whatever, suck the blood, he wanted to know. But just the idea, and I said, yeah, we were talking about Ari, or at least I was, this whole idea about death. So I think it could be interwoven in there. I don't know. It's just an interesting observation that I thought I would share. Because
yeah, that is. It is.
It just, after so many years, and like, no way, totally different people taking care of the animals this time, and it happened. So, Craig, you want to share anything more before we say bye here? Or? See, he's going to, no, I mean, he might have other callers.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm good.
All right, well, holding the space.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye.
All right, Miss Jeanie, do we have anybody else in the phone queue?
We do. We have another hand up, and I believe it's Rex 517. You've attempted to get on for a couple days. Welcome.
Speak of
My ears
angels
are
and
ringing.
angels appear.
My ears have been ringing.
There you go.
Yeah, I listened to the whole program yesterday, and I did want to mention that Michelle's friend's name was it Craig? Or did I?
Craig.
Craig, okay.
Yeah.
I had a thought yesterday that I would like to share. I can share that today. One of the ways that I've been able to access and be more comfortable with accessing, whether it be grief or anger or loss, or in his case, regret, is to actually understand that when I was a child, I had those feelings and I didn't like it, and there was different things that go with it, of course, but it is to allow that child to have the experience they're having. And one of the things that I work with people from this perspective, and I help them understand, is that if you do it as a conscious adult, then you think you've healed it, but we haven't really given a voice to that little child. And I wanted to mention that they're not separate. They're all part of this whole mind-body energy system, but it makes it easier to integrate it, I've found. So I wanted to mention that, and maybe comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that.
Not much more to say. Just
okay.
That, when we separate from thoughts from any time in life, the resolution is always to breathe and integrate them, hold them, and bring them back to awareness. And of course, whatever we bring back to awareness in the context of breath and the presence of love. If there's anything untoward about it, it dissolves. That's the beauty of the tools.
Excellent. And it was interesting because I know you have a very educated listening group as well, people that tune into your program here. And the regulatory speech was a really good piece as well. I appreciated that, and it's nice to hear, someone else talk about it and hear it being reminded, the reminders and all the good stuff that comes with it. So I've been really enjoying reconnecting with the program, and I've been doing my best to listen almost every day and be a part of it. You had a really awesome, also moving on to the piece that I had actually raised my hand a couple days ago. I thought, if I have any triggers with being rejected, they would have definitely come up the last couple of days.
Oh, Rex. Oh, yeah,
poor Rex.
I'm gonna hang up. I'm gonna hang up now.
That's good, Michael. It didn't. I just laughed at that tendency to want to go that direction. I just went, no, it's just silly. It's nothing personal. And so I was enjoying the whole process. But in the conversation you opened up a couple days ago about the demons,
right.
I find that what you offered was really good, and I'm been processing it as well. And it's been happening for a while because it's showed up in a couple other areas in communications with other groups that we work with. And it was kind of that what I would like to share is the idea that the demon is an image that we've made up. And I know you've said this, we've made this up, and then we close it, and it's very almost the same. I hear the same thing with all of your work on perception, how we don't see what's actually out there, we see what's in here. And this,
yeah, actually, I'm kind of on the cusp of almost recognizing in the Aramaic context, and I'm doing more research in the Aramaic to just get a bigger sense of it. I'm almost at the point of recognizing, like when Yeshua confronts Peter outside the Garden of Gethsemane, when the high priest servant shows up and he addresses him as Satan. He says, for you think in the mind of man. He's basically saying, for you're in perception, you're stuck in demons. And I'm almost at the point of recognizing or acknowledging that, everything that comes in perception is a demon. Everything that the mind makes up, simply because it's a construct from carbon-based memory from the past, pretending to be the present. And so that's not exactly actually verified for me, but it's making sense at this point. I'm looking more into the Aramaic to get more of a sense of it, see if there's any justification for that.
Well, and that's where I was going with that, because that's what I heard you say the other day too. And so the perceptual, the apparent perception, we talked about that as well privately. The apparent perception is not that. So what we name it is what's called, is what made it a demon. And so whether it be a demon or, an image of a person that I named Bob or Mary or Pete or Josie or whomever it is, whatever I've added unto that from my content in the form of judgment and, resistance and any version of, being out of alignment, being out of the space of
blame.
Love. Exact blame, guilt, fear, whatever it is. All of those, it's almost as if part of that process of stealing, I'll say the word stealing, Yeshua's teachings, confiscating them and then using them with, an ulterior motive. And the ulterior motive would be based on the content and the demons therein, whomever was setting that up. So the ultimate, and I can say that ultimate place to be functioning from is having Rakhma and Khooba fully engaged. And then you just said what I heard you say, is as I witness more of my own demons, more of my own thought forms, more of my own belief structures, more of my own concepts and content. I was distracted. I apologize. Let me, Mitzi was talking in the background. I lost my train of thought.
Just to pick up from that is, when my mind is structuring realities, those realities are, I love how the Course in Miracles talk about it, is that they're symbols of the world. And then when we name one of those structures in our mind with a name, then we've got a symbol of a symbol. And the Course talks about how we live 2 generations away from the truth, living in symbols of symbols. And as you collapse the symbols, you get to taste directly the fruit, the truth. And that, to me, is the genius of the forgiveness process. But most people would rather keep running their power person dynamics and find somebody to take it out on, blah, 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 that whole game of playing that out. And it's like, it's time for us to get on with what human life is really about, rather than just playing out those dynamics over and over and over everywhere we turn, with everybody we look at.
Yes. What really resonated about a month ago, it was before I came down, and we did that intensive, or mini intensive. We had a group, we do a prayer group, and in the prayer group, where are you going? Are you up for it? Are you up to it? Excuse me, I apologize. Okay, I love you, honey. All right.
See you later, Misty.
Bye. Bye. So we had this prayer group, and in the prayer group, we had a priest, a more traditional Catholic priest that was considered an exorcist. And he was doing a general exorcism and how to exorcise these demons. and so I said to Mark, after the group, we had a conversation. I said, Mark, I said, the demons, the exorcism is real because of the belief that it's real. It's not because it's actually real. And real in the sense that it's a physical, tangible substance or something, And so we had a long conversation about it, process it, and it fit right into what you're saying. I think that what we've done over time is, as a society, we kind of been lulled into these belief structures that are founded in these misunderstandings. And your work, Michael, and our work is so profoundly important because it does unravel. I came away from the intensive with the understanding that, and I knew this before, but I didn't know it with the fervor that I have now, of the importance of time we're in and the importance of doing the inner work, of having that be the top priority above anything else.
Yep.
Go ahead, I didn't hear you.
Michael, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
We lost him.
I just said I agree. Yeah, that was it.
And that was it. I thought I heard you say that, but you kind of got blocked off or something, but it was hard to understand. I came back, and we have another group that we work with that we've been working with for a few years here. And I came back with that clearer comprehension, and I offered it, and it wasn't necessarily received optimally. I got to see, it's like, okay, Rex, you know, you've been here before, where you get an insight and you think everybody should have it, you know, or everybody, you know, some version I make up about it, and I'm laughing at myself, obviously, because it isn't that way. What I have noticed is a very clear understanding that I desire to work with the people that are ready and willing. And I've had that for a while, but not to the degree that I have now in conscious clarity.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you allowing
hear
me
you.
to share, being a witness.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, have a blessed one. Take care.
And we have another hand up,
All right.
and it's 765. It's Sunny. Welcome.
Hey,
Oh, hey there, young lady. How are you?
I am elated, Michael, so much. Like childlike joy, energy. If I could speak freely to Jeanie for a second, for a moment, I'd like
I'm
to
here.
wish
You're
you,
with us.
Jeanie, I would like to wish you a very, very happy Mother's Day. And
Thank you.
I come to know Michael as much as 2, maybe 3 years before you joined him on this walk. And I hope people realize the enormity of all that the two of you do. I want to congratulate you both and thank you both with all my heart of being just this incredible example of divine feminine, divine masculine, and your unification, coming together, two people who have found their life's purpose and are actually doing your purpose and sharing it with the world. That's what we're all supposed to be doing. And I can't thank the two of you enough. And I just, if I may suggest that spiritually, with the number of people who have stepped in as parental figures in my life, I celebrate the two of you, and I thank you so much for being that to me, for all that you have given. You have no idea. The impression, so much of who I am and what I've become is replicate of you, and I hope that I honor you in that. And I can't thank you enough. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. And Michael and I are coming up on our 19th wedding anniversary. We've been together 20 and a half years. And
Yay.
yeah.
What a gift.
Yeah.
I'm blessed.
Yeah, beautiful. And thank you for doing it. Yeah. So, Michael, after we spoke, the new worksheet is quite foreign to me. I'm looking at it as the new eyes I've introduced to your work are going, huh? The past 3 weeks, I've followed your instructions of get a group together and start sharing this work with the world, right? And in the doing, reflecting over 3 weeks, as much as 2 days a week in the setting that I have available, it isn't coming out, or they're not, arrived at sharing the fact that they have set pen to paper or even gone into the website and done it digitally. Not everyone relates the same way and or has, certain technologies or things available, printers even. Some people live in desolate areas across the country where the nearest print shop might be 30 miles away or no library in town.
That's
We
why
have
we
an
have an
app.
app for that.
Right.
You can do the app right on their phones or on their computers on our website. So don't need paper.
And a couple of people have done it. And I guess as to, you mentioned the inner hypocrite, embracing my inner hypocrite, I'm going, wow, boy, I unleashed this on the world, and I'm looking at this new worksheet, Until I listened to one of the videos, thank you for your encouragement in my relationship with technology, I went on her site and I grabbed the first little video I could find from a year ago that you processed through a Global Book Club last year. And yet, another workshop.
That's still going on. That's still going on. I'll be doing it tomorrow afternoon, a session with them.
Yeah, I love what she's doing over there. And so, yeah, it's like, that's, I guess, what I get for staying away from home so long, because I went digging through my archives and I found worksheets from 2014. So cool. It's a different format. So while I function fluently on foot and process, and I've been about 6 years in this other, where he leads, I will follow, before it becomes truly appropriate for the mindset to appreciate this work, and they're very ready. So I've just been playing your recordings for them, answering any questions I may be capable of, and then when it comes down to actually putting pen to paper, I'm looking at the only worksheet that my admins went to the website, put on the wall, and I'm taking a look at it and going, I see where maybe they're not as quick to approach, because all of it's beautiful. All of everything that's needed is right there in front of you. If you lived in the middle of the boonies and somebody handed you this piece of paper, it's fully explanatory. And it's so fully explanatory. But yet, in my habitual tendency toward the process, I would get into part of it that's a little bit more than the original statement. Mindful of the time on the clock here. Let me take a look. Okay, we're good. I do find that there are some differences in the mechanics of this particular worksheet, and listening to that video, yeah, you do. Just when we old pros think we got it all figured out, you got quite a sense of humor.
Another little shift, shift happens.
Yeah, it does, and thank you for doing it, because yes, it does something different to your brain. It sure does. So the original statement is that I get down to the point quite often, and I get to where a punishment behavior, and I feel like, well, I've done so much work. It's not always do I find it in my store. Depending on a person's work, what would a punishment behavior look like? Punishment behavior, whatever, because owning and being responsible and simply being, and the love process, that just beingness looks a little different for me maybe. And not in every circumstance would I seek to punish or act out. There was one instance where my punishment behavior was to just do 1 million worksheets. I was just going to do 100 worksheets around this, but that's not punishment either. That's a blessing. That's my responsibility, but it's not a punishment behavior.
Right.
So if you would maybe go there with me, and so that at 4:17 this afternoon when I make this, I'm not going to use necessarily any of your recordings in presentation. I'll see what time brings between now and then. I would more fluently like to walk people through a worksheet process. But I don't feel, as I said, embracing my inner hypocrite, that I'm prepared to do that with this particular worksheet.
So I'm not sure what your question is.
The initial question was, what if you go to the punishment behavior and you don't feel one?
Then there's no punishment behavior.
Then that's fair. That's cool. That's a good space to be.
And my experience is that if there's hostility or fear, about maybe 90 to 10,000% of the time there's a punishment thought.
Right. Yeah. If we get down in it, right? Own it.
But
yeah. Okay, so it's still a 7-step worksheet. I've used a highlighter to maybe take a picture of that and present that through technology. They can look at a picture on the wall in a social media. And at every reference, is 1C always the same 1C? Highlighting 1C where it is mentioned so that it brings it to the eye and they can jump back knowing where 1C is at. And then, I highlighted B. 1B shows up down there in number 5. I have a thing here where, in my mind, I did a bit of a worksheet on a past experience. I'm trying to do hypotheticals, to do a hypothetical example of what I might do and just humble myself to it. And I don't have anything that's up in the air for me except for a past memory with you, Michael, of regulatory speech and how that affected me in that moment of my process where the conversation stopped. I heard you say this. I didn't get to finish my statement, my question, and I was stopped. And I thank you for doing that now, but I wasn't able to do that then. And I did a million sheets on that. Rex remembers that. And it's so good to hear your voice too, Rex. And so I try to do the worksheet here where Michael stopped me and I wasn't able to be fully heard, but I put that my trigger. And my emotion would be nervous about this conversation but yet I go down to where I realize that I'm kind of laughing now, down in number 6, that...
okay. What's the thought behind the nervousness?
Well, I'm going to have extended conversation with you, and regulatory speech had been an issue before. That is mostly just getting this. I'm so excited for the reunion. So I'm not a good example to do the hypothetical in the moment because I don't have anything up. And just looking at the differences in this worksheet is the simple statement, Michael, to where I go round and round with this. And I guess where once the first statement of her trigger, I question number 3 perhaps, and I did to honor his work, okay, my desire, my constructive result is to honor his life work and do well to share it with the world. That is my desired my happy thought. And then to go back up to 3, when you go down into number 5, I find myself repeating that there. Is that correct? Is that how to properly utilize 5A?
You're going to need to be a little more specific.
Okay, I will walk through. My trigger, my story, my reality is Michael stopped me in regulatory speech. I didn't get to finish my present issue or statement. And 1D, my thoughts, as I breathe, I realize that my thoughts I used to construct my emotion, which was nervousness up in 1B, is that I hope to honor his life work and that he sees the blessing he is to me.
I think thought behind your emotion of being nervous isn't that. It would be more like he interrupted me or something, and your goal wouldn't be what you said either. Your goal would be more like, I want him to let me talk or something like that. You're going too broad, and you're not going to get a result if you go that broad.
Okay. Overflow. Yeah. Okay. So, all right, I think reflecting between the 2 worksheets that I have available to me, I can get this happening and get it out to the people to the best of my ability. And here we are.
And let me throw one
children.
other thing out as far as punishment goes. A lot of times people don't think of avoidance or withdrawal as punishment, and it is. And in this case, if you were trying to say something and you felt like Michael stopped you, your punishment to Michael might be to ignore him, and your punishment to yourself might be, I'm not going to listen. And both of those would be a type of punishment thought. Punishment's not always I want to kick them, or I want to hit them, or I want to scream, or I want to cuss. A lot of times it's just I'm going to withdraw and ignore them.
Yes. But, yes, I get that. Thank you. Thank you. And that it is, in fact, okay, and maybe work in that to be sure when there is no punishment thought, a denial with, myself or other people as we go through that. Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate you, and I just, like I say, can't thank you enough. Hopefully I am honoring this and sharing it out appropriately, and I am just in wow. Just in total wow. So grateful.
And Sonny Michelle is listening.
For that extension.
She said, you sound so much better. And then she laughingly said, did you forget about her because you thanked Rex and said it was good? Anyway, she can do a worksheet.
Michelle, I did not, and I tell you, thank you, because, she has been there so many times through this process and in my walk and this family, and this is where, as Rex said, the world, truly my perception when I spoke to you originally, we reconnected, the world is ready. The consciousness is moving, and I hear so many people, Michael, that they've got the right idea, the right, the words, the beauty, the love is increasing, but that they don't really know what that looks like yet. They don't have these tools because, yes, and this is, we know there's no one way, but this is the most magnificent piece of work that a humanity could hope to even hear even one time and have it be banging around in their consciousness to serve them at any point in time and come back to it, as so many people do people dip out and they think they got it and they go about the stuff, and then their stuff comes up again. They got to come back home. And just to thank the two of you and to wish you truly a happy, happy Mother's Day. And what's happening in our world, this is so needed. So even if you don't know what you're doing, people that are listening, give it a spin. Go out and share it with somebody and amateur yourself to the top. I even have told the people in my group that if they're looking at that worksheet, a couple people said, it looks like a tax form. I'm like, well, all the more reason to get in there and do it. But I referred them to the website, to the children's book. And I said, do the children's work. And if you're in denial and you don't have any issues and you think you're fine, please, I encourage you, your children are being exposed to things in this world. Get the book, buy the book, and do worksheets in that book with your children. May not even be you think you're doing anything there, but you might find out that you are. But just the work that you do with your children is going to touch you and encourage you to maybe go ahead and grab onto the adult version and get into the website, get into the Blog Talk Radio, join the radio shows, find Michael in your real-time world. He's not just somebody I'm talking about in a social media. These are real living, breathing humans that are doing this work, and you can reach out to them, talk to them, and get on this. You can even go meet them in person. So it's quite unlike a person reading out of a book where, like Joseph Brenner, for instance. He's been here and gone a long time ago and has beautiful offerings, but how would you ever ask him a question? And you're here, And I'm so grateful
We are
for
here.
you in the world. I'm so
We are
grateful
here for
you in the
eternity.
world. Yes. And my laughing jokes, though, Jeanie, you may have shared with Jeanie, I always laughingly tell you, Michael, I verb you eternally just because. I verb you eternally. Both of you, all of you. Thank you.
All right. You have a blessed one.
You too.
Standing love in your direction. All right.
Well,
Miss
we're
Jeanie,
down to 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Time flies. We're having fun. So do we have anybody else out there with a hand up in the phone queue or anybody in the chat room with a thought for us?
No, it's all quiet. You might talk a little about the quantum. Oh, a hand just went up.
Okay.
And I believe
great.
it is Miss Jamuna, 808. You're on the air.
Hey, young lady. Welcome.
Aloha.
Aloha. Mahalo.
How's everything? Mahalo, that means thank you, but that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Glad you're here. You pushed one. So what's on your mind for today? Hello?
Jamuna, we're not hearing you.
Your voice disappeared, Jamuna. That was strange. Maybe try hanging up and calling back in, Jamuna. Your voice just disappeared.
Oh, she just hung up. So we'll give her just a second.
Okay, let's give her a second so she dials back in. Technology is so great when it works and offers so many opportunities to learn forgiveness when it doesn't.
She's back on.
Oh, cool. Okay. Let's go for it. Let's try again.
Okay. Well, this is kind of like going into like what I actually wanted to ask a question about.
Okay.
It seems like, like this, like, I'm kind of like, I don't know, some kind of catalyst. I feel like I'm just kind of like the one that kind of triggers other people. And trying to see where that comes from.
Well, for me personally, what I've found, if there's ever something that, geez, I'm trying to figure this out, I can't figure it out. But if I apply forgiveness, I'll always be able to find the root.
Mm-hmm.
So that, in terms of all the energy dynamics between people, up, down, sideways, back, forth, generational patterns, nobody can ever figure out all those energetic interactions and the results they produce. But when if there's a disturbance in me about it, if I forgive as to that disturbance, then by canceling the goal involved for whatever the object of attention is, and allowing my mental construct, my own perception to just collapse, then I get to look at what's under the surface inside of me.
Yeah.
And for me, everybody involved in any sort of circumstance or situation where there's disturbance, if everybody will do that, everybody will find their piece of the puzzle. If we don't do that, then, I'll insist that my piece of the puzzle is yours. You'll insist that my piece of the puzzles or your piece of the puzzle is mine. And, the game goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the power of utilizing the forgiveness process, as opposed to, there are a billion interactions going on, and I'm going to try to figure them out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. The worksheet. Worksheet. Yeah.
It is an amazing tool.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just all I felt like to bring up. It just seems like, I don't know. And that's, like, it's all perception, too. Yeah. That's what I wanted to. Yeah. Hello? okay. Oh boy. Yeah.
No, it's
Okay.
we're connected here.
Okay, that's all I wanted to share. That's all I wanted to ask.
All right. We have a blessed one.
Okay,
And thank
you.
everybody for joining us. Hey, take care. Have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world.